So welcome to another discussion on the basics of AutoCAD. So for today's activity, it will be just a continuation of the first activity that we had, which was creating our own template, having the necessary tools, which is the layer, for example. So the first thing to do is to locate your save file that was the template, and open that file. So as you can see, the lines that we made on the previous activity is already there. No, so but we have to check if it contains the necessary tools that we need. So for example, the units. Remember, the first thing to check is the unit. So type in units. Now with AutoCAD, you can have two keys that will act as the enter button. So it could be that after typing the command, you can press the enter key, or you can use the space bar. So for example, type in units and then press the space bar. So it will act the same as uh, the enter key. So again, let's check the units. So this is already in decimal, and then the precision is already in two decimal places, which is correct. And then the units is in meters, which is also correct. So okay, the next thing to check is the layers. So type in layers, or layer rather, and then enter. So we have here point 1, color red, and then the thickness is 0.13, and then this is continuous. So the next one is point 0.3, the thickness is 0.30 mm, same, continuous, and so is the point 0.5, 0.5 mm, and continuous. So as the hidden line already have its own color, its own thickness, which is 0.05, and the type of line is hidden, which is this one. Okay, so as you observe, there is an interval between each point of thickness. So for example, 0.13 and 0.13. So the reason why is that uh, if you place uh, points that are close to each other, they are not that visible when you look at it. So there is no hierarchy of lines. Okay, so it will be hard to determine, because the thickness of each line is just close to each other. So that is why we place an interval that is visible when it is being drawn. So for example, 0.13 and 0.30 compared to 0.20 and 0.13. So there is a difference. So that is also the reason why we chose 0.13 rather than the 0.09, because we will use 0.05 for the hidden line. So if you look at the options, 0.05 and 0.09 is a bit close compared to 0.13. Okay, so the layers are already there, and then let's try to check if we click the line weight option or the tool. So if we show the line weight, okay, so it's already there. Okay, so it shows the line weight between each line or between each layer. So let's turn this off, and then now for our activity number 1, we will be doing this one, an exercise using vertical lines, horizontal lines, 45-degree lines, and the 30 and 60-degree line. Okay, so how do we do this one? To start, as you can see, it now involves lines that has a certain angle. So how do we, or where do we look at these angles? So the first thing to look at is the polar tracking. So this is called the polar tracking. So where do we find this polar tracking? So polar tracking is uh, located here at the bottom right portion, together with the show or hide line weight. So let's try to off this line weight. So it's not highlighted, meaning the line weight is turned off. Now, polar tracking is this one. So if you move your cursor next to this icon, this is a circle with an angle, it will give you the name of the tool. So that is polar tracking. So if you click this one, it will be turned off. So If you click this one, this is now turned on. Okay, so what's the purpose of polar tracking? So if you make a line, remember to make a line, which is line or L, enter, click one point, and then as you move towards your second point, as you can see, there will be a guideline, which is this color green. No? It will show up if you reach a certain angle. So for example, this one, as you can see, beside the cursor, you have there 30 degrees. Okay, as you move along, next is you have 60 degrees. And then vertically, this is 90 degrees. No, so the guide line, this green broken line, will just show up if you are in the 30-degree guide or 30-degree angle. Okay, so how do we change this one? So polar tracking, you can just right click the icon. So right click, so as you can see, you have there given angles. So these are your guide angles. So this is the option as to where you want your guidelines to show up. So as of now, it is located, the check mark is on the 30 degrees. So that's the reason why when you are on the 30-degree angle, it will show up. So let's try to check this 45 degrees. So check. So let's check again if it's already changed to 45 degrees. So again, go to the polar tracking icon and then right click. As you can see, it is already changed to 45 degrees. So let's make a line, enter, click one point, and then as you go to the second point, horizontally the guideline is being shown. Okay, so that is the green broken line. So as you move along, earlier it will show up along the 30-degree line, but we changed the angle to 45 degrees. So right now, this is the 45 degrees, so it will show you the guideline. So meaning you are on the 45-degree direction. So next is the 90 degrees and so on. So that is the purpose of polar tracking, to give guides as to where your direction is, the angle of your direction. Okay, so understood? So again, to make a line, enter, click the first point, and then your second point, it's either you click another another point, just like this one. I can click anywhere. I already created a line, or you can direct your line by using the polar tracking. So for example, I want to make a line that is directed to 45 degrees. So I will direct my cursor or my second point towards the 45-degree direction, and then you can type the length of the line. So for example, our units is in meters, right? So I want to make a 45-degree line measuring 10 meters. So what I will do is line, enter, click the first point, and then direct my cursor or my next line towards the 45-degree angle. So make sure that your polar tracking is on. So it's already directed, and then I can just type in the measurement. So 10, enter. So this is what a 10-meter line looks like that is directed to 45 degrees. Okay, so let's try to make a horizontal line, enter, click. So this is horizontal, and then 5 meters. So 5, again, as you can see, it's directed towards the horizontal line. So the main thing to check if you are in the correct angle is by by showing those guidelines. So horizontally, we are in the correct direction because the guidelines are present. So again, make a line or I'll enter, click the first point, and then 5 meters towards this direction, towards to the right, horizontally. So type in 5, enter. So this is a 5-meter line. Okay, understood? Now, with regards to our first activity, which is this one, okay, the first thing to create is this box. Okay, so as you observe, each box will have the same measurement. So this box is a square. Okay, so with AutoCAD, we don't have a command that is square, but instead we have this rectangle. Okay, so how do we create a rectangle? Now, so the first thing to do is to type the command. So the command is rectangle. So that would be, again, you can type the whole word. So if you type in the whole word, the command shows up. So rectangle, enter. Or you can just type in the shortcut for rectangle, which is REC. Okay, so REC, enter. Okay, so now always remember to look at the command bar, which is this portion located here. Okay, every time you type in a command, AutoCAD will ask certain questions. For example, the one that was discussed previously was the line. So when you type in a line, it will ask for the points. Okay, now for rectangle, you have a lot of options. So the first one is just type in rectangle, REC, enter. The first question here is specify first corner point. So locate the first corner of your rectangle. So remember, rectangle has 4 corners. So this is my first corner, and then you can just freely create your rectangle by placing the other corner opposite to what is your first point or first corner. So for example, I want it to be located here. Okay, so this is now my rectangle. So again, what you will do is rectangle, REC, enter, click the first corner and click the other corner. Okay, but the rectangle that I did don't have any measurements. Now this is just a free rectangle. So for our activity, we need to have a certain measurement. So this is 5 meters by 5 meters. So this is basically a square. So how do we create a square? By using the rectangle command. Okay, so this is now a process, or meaning a series of command. So to start, type in the command rectangle, REC. This is a shortcut, enter. Okay, the next thing to do is to click the first corner, so which is this one. Click. Now, instead of placing the next corner, what you will do is try to look at the command bar. Okay, it is asking a question, specify other corner point. So you can specify the other corner point, or you can see it here, or you can type in the area, the dimensions, and the rotation. So you have the other options, 3 other options as to how you will create your rectangle. So we have our own dimensions, which is 5 meters by 5 meters. So instead of typing or clicking the other corner of the rectangle, what you will do is just type letter D. No? It represents the first letter of the option. So if you want to type the area, you type A. Dimensions D, rotations R. Since we have this dimension, you type D. D, and then enter. So as you observe, the rectangle that was just being placed here is gone. No, nawagtang siya. So now, just disregard why the rectangle was gone, but instead focus here. Now, it changes its question, or what is the command bar asking. So, the first thing is specify length for rectangles. So, the length that we have is 5. Enter. And then the next one is specify width for rectangles. So, that is 5. No? So, we have a 5 by 5 rectangle, or that is now a square. So type in the next measurement, which is the width, and enter. So as you can see, it gives you now the correct measurements or the correct figure. So it is now up to where you are going to place your square. So I will, as I move my cursor, it also moves the direction of the figure. So let's try to place it here. So just click your mouse or left click, enter. So you now have your rectangle. Okay, so the good thing about using this command is that it would be a lot easier and faster. So instead of having lines to create this one, for example, I will type a line, enter, click the first point, and then the next point towards this direction is 5, enter, and then the next point is going here, 5, enter, then going here na sad, 5, enter, and then just connect it here, or just again direct this position towards vertically, and then type in the dimension, which is 5, enter, and then escape. So I created my rectangle using lines. Okay, but by using this command, rectangle command, it would be a lot easier. So again, to start, type in the command rectangle, REC, enter, and then click the first corner, just left click, left click, and then instead of typing or clicking, no, you don't need to click the next corner, but instead you will type letter D, that is for dimensions. So you will tell AutoCAD that I have my own dimensions. So the first letter of the dimensions is D. So D, enter. So the rectangle is gone. But it will ask you now for the dimensions. Since you said that you have your dimensions, so AutoCAD now will ask what are the dimensions of the rectangle. So 5, enter. That is for the length. And for the width, 5, enter. So I now have my rectangle. So I can just click towards which direction will I place my square. Click. Understood? Okay. So this is our first figure. So if you base to the given example, no, we have this box already. So we will now try to draw the inside lines. So you have a continuous line, which is a point 3 line, since it is a yellow line. Diba? Remember, in the layers that we have, point 3 is yellow. So if you look at the drawing, it's yellow, so automatic, it's point 3. So let's try to on the line weight. Okay, so there is a difference between each thickness of these lines. So it's time to turn this off. So you have here a straight line and a hidden line alternately. Okay, so for our figure, we always start at the center. Okay, with this center line. So going back here, so how do we locate the center of this figure? Okay, so now we will have another tool, which is the object snap. We call this one object snap. So object snap is located here. You can just use the polar tracking. Okay, so to locate the object snap, so right click the polar tracking, and then go to settings. Okay, so beside the polar tracking, you have your object snap. No, just use the object snap, not the 3D object snap. No, just this one, object snap. And then make sure it's turned on. And then, as you can see, you have here options. So, for example, endpoint. Endpoint is a square. This is now, try to be familiar with the symbols of each, what do you call this one? Uh, Snap points. We call this one snap points. Okay? So, for the endpoint, that is a square. Midpoint is a triangle. Geometric center and center is circle. The nodes is a circle with an X. Intersection, you have this X mark, and so on. So, just follow which uh, snap points are being placed with a check mark. So, you have here extension, perpendicular, tangent, and apparent intersection. So, disregard the others, no, kaning walay check mark. Okay, so again, try to be familiar with the symbols of these snap points. Okay, so this is already okay. So click OK, and then as we go back to our figure, we will try now to locate these snap points. Okay, what are the snap points? Snap points are the points in the object, no, wherein it is where you are going to connect another object. So for example, no, I will make a line, enter. So where do my first point connects to this object? Based on our example, we will make the first line at the center. So how do I locate the center of this object? Okay, so that's the importance of this object snap. It will guide you as to where you can snap or you can connect your object. For example, a line. So type in line, enter. So we will be making a line from the center of this object vertically. So let's start from the top. So in this portion of a line, we will locate asa ang center, which is the center portion. So if you remember, if we go back to the object snap, the symbol for a midpoint is triangle. This one. Okay, so let's try to check if the triangle will show up. So as I move along, I will first create a line, enter. Diba? The first question is specify the first point of the line. So my first point will be the center of this line, or the center of this side of the square. So as you observe, if you move along your cursor to the corner, no, it will snap, but don't click yet. No, it will snap because you turned on the endpoint. Diba? Endpoint is a square. So if you observe, no, if you move along your cursor, this square icon or symbol will show up, meaning you are in the endpoint. But what we need is the midpoint. So just try to move along, and then here, it will give you a symbol of a triangle, meaning you are in the endpoint of this side of the square. So since it gave you the midpoint, which is this one, no, this is now your first point. Now you can click here. Now you can click here as your first point. Click, and then your next point will be on the opposite side. So it's either you use the guidelines or you will just look the midpoint of this line by using the snap, the object snap. So let's try to look for that triangle symbol. So if you move along, no, as you can see, layo pagay ko sa midpoint, no, it already shows which is the midpoint or asa dapit ang midpoint of this side. So, I will just move my cursor towards here and then click. Okay, so I already have my line. So, escape. So, this is my first line, which is located on the center of the square. Now, we are already done with this. Okay, the next thing to do is to create the other lines. Okay, now, so instead of making a measurement to have this line, so the dimensions are for the distance between each line, this is 0.50 mm. That is the distance between each line. So instead of locating, no, mag-locate ko as ang from the center to 0.5, no, and then I can start my line here going down. And what you can do is use offset. Okay, offset. So you can type here the command for offset. You can type the whole word offset. Okay, as you can see, no, you have here offset. Enter. Or you can just type the shortcut for offset, which is O. Okay, so as soon as I place or type letter O, no, the first suggestion of the command bar is that command offset, meaning the shortcut for offset is O. So O, enter. Now, how do offset works? So offset works this way. So offset, I will move or create another line by just of creating an offset of this line. So click and then no, I want to have another line towards this direction. Click, 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 click. So this is horizontally. Okay? So it's like creating a mirror of this line towards a different direction. Okay? It could be to the left or to the right. Okay? So that is the offset. Now, so you can consider this one as an offset to this center line, but it contains a measurement or a distance. So how do we offset using distance? So this is how to do it. So again, type offset O, enter. Now again, as you can see on the command bar, no, you have here these questions. Now it will ask for the offset distance. So what is the distance of the next line between the original line? No, what is the distance? That was 0.5. So type in 0.5, enter. Okay, so as you can see, the cursor changes into a square icon. So now, you will select what line or what object you wish to be copied or offset. So we will copy this one towards the left direction. So what you will do is click this object and then move to the left. So as you can see, no, since we already gave a dimension or a distance, no, as to the degree of the next line, as siya kutob, no, if you, even though you move farther your cursor, no, the next line or the line that will be mirrored will stay at the distance that you give. So we gave 0.5. So mas gilayo pa na akong cursor, mo click pa ko dire, the distance is still 0.5. So iyang gi-maintain ang distance nga atong gi-type in. Okay. So we need to continue to create these lines kaning gipang offset. Okay? So again, type O, that is offset, enter, and then it will ask for a distance. So your distance is 0.5, enter. So the cursor will now change into a box and it will ask for what object you wish to be copied. No? So this is not the object we want to copy. Ano man, kay if we want to copy or we will offset this one, what will happen? No? It will just be creating another line towards this direction. So, unsa may offset na to? This one, no? This is the next thing that we need to, or the next object nga ato na po ni offset. So, click this one, click, and then as you can see, the cursor now changes back to a crosshair. No, di na katong square. So, again, offset towards this direction. Okay? So, after creating this line na gi-offset, as you can see, the cursor goes back to a square. So, nangayon na po siya another object nga imong that you wish to offset. So, just continue this one because the lines has the same distance to each other. So, as you can see, no, this side is already complete. Okay? How about on this side? Just continue. This time, going towards the right. Click this one, then, and so on. Okay, so if you look at the example, no, our lines are complete here. Okay, now, the next thing to do is to change these lines. As you can see on the example, no, these lines are different from each other. There is an interval, especially on the center, or meaning, what I mean are the inside lines, meaning inside the box. No, alternate sila from yellow or 0.3, and then you have this hidden line, and then goes back to a 0.3 line, and so on. Na siya interval. Now, the good thing about preparing the drawing area or having a template first, what that was our first activity, is that instead of clicking this line and go to its properties, and then you will change it here, you change the color to yellow, and then the line type continuous, and then the line weight that is 0.3, no, it will take a lot of time. Okay, so what you will do now is the next command that we will be using, which is match properties. Again, match properties. Okay, so but before that, what you can do is you can also do this one. Click the object and go to its properties. Okay, and then you can change it here, 0.3. And then the next line is this one, 0.3. And so on. Or you can do it this way. Select the objects. So how do we select the object? So click. So this one is highlighted. How do we add another selection? You can just hold shift button or the shift key, hold that one, and click the next object. Okay, so it's either shift key or it could be the alt. Okay, so just try to check asaan na. Okay, it's either the shift or the alt button or key. Okay, and then you can change it here, 0.3, or it could be a hidden line. Okay, so what you just change here is the layer. No, so wala na, you don't need to change everything from the line type to the line weight. No, so just make sure that everything is by layer. For example, the color is by layer, the line type is by layer, and then the line weight is by layer. Okay, because the layers are already being set by the first activity or by your template. So going back here, that is one of the options on how to allocate the layers to these lines, or you can use another command, which is the match properties. Okay, the first word is match. Okay, so let's try to discuss how it works. So you can type it here, match prop, that is the match properties, enter. Or you can just type MA, enter. That is the shortcut for the match properties. Now, so every time you type in a command, try to check what questions are being asked by the command bar. So again, match prop, MA, enter. So the question here is select source object. So matching properties works this way. So I have here my guidelines. So each line already has their own layer. So with match prop, the first question is select the source object. So what object do I wish to copy? No? So for example, let's try to place the layer for this square. Diba? The layer for that square is green, so meaning that is 0.5. So I want this one to be on the layer 0.5. So you can do it this way. Again, you can do it this way. Click the object and click the layer. So 0.5. No? So it changes automatically to the 0.5 layer. Or you can do it this way. No? So type in the match prop, MA, enter. Select the source object. So I wish to copy this line. So this line already has the layer 0.5. So click. So as you can see now, your cursor changes to a box with a brush. So it's like brushing or selecting which object you wish to be the same as this one. So if I click this one, the border, it becomes the same as my source object. My source object was the 0.5 line or the green line containing a 0.5 layer. So I can just brush any object. Okay? So everything or all the lines here is now part of the 0.5 because my source object is this one. Okay? So that is the match prop. So let's try this again. So MA, enter, match property. So my source object. So look at your command bar. You have your source object. Select source object. Click. This is my source object. And this is for my border or my square. Click. Now, for the inside, I need to use the yellow line. So match prop, MA, enter. My source object is this yellow line or 0.3 line. Click. No, just wait for the brush to pop out on your cursor. So you have here a box and a brush. So now it is ready as to what object you wish to copy or to be the same as your source object. So let's start with the center line and click the next line and the next line and so on. Okay, and then the remaining lines will be a hidden line. So match prop, MA, enter. Click your source object, which is this one, or hidden line, click, and then just click the other lines. Now, as you can see, no, this particular line is different from the others. What happened here is that this line is composed of not only one line. So if you zoom in, you can see a white portion. So meaning this line is composed of two overlapping lines. So what we just match is just one line. So the line that is behind it was not included, was not matched. So as you can see, naa pa siya white line. So if you try to click this one and erase, so the shortcut for erase is E, enter. So again, you can erase an object by selecting an object and then typing E. That is for erase and then enter. So that would erase the object. Now, so we already erased that line. So napay nabili na line which is this one. So meaning there are lines nga nag-overlap. So in the case that that will happen, no, try to check if that line contains overlapping lines or there are hidden lines behind it. Okay, so now let's match this one. This time, by using this. Click and match. Okay, understood? So our first figure is already done. Vertical lines. Okay, now, the next figure is horizontal lines. Okay, so again, when we do our figure, we start at the center. So, to start, we will create another rectangle, which is this one. So, again, to create a square, we need to use the rectangle command. So, rectangle, REC, enter. Click the first point, click. And then for the second point, instead of clicking, you will type letter D. D, enter. So now it will ask for the length. The length is 5. Enter. The width is 5. Also, enter. So I now have my box or square. No, this acts like a border. Now for the horizontal line, which is this one, again, we will start from the center. So I will create a line, enter, and then I will locate the midpoint of this one. Midpoint to the other midpoint, opposite corner. Click, then escape. Next thing to do is to offset. O, enter. The distance is 0.5. Enter. So my cursor now changes into box. So I can click now what particular object I wish to offset or copy. No? So for example, you can also offset this box. So if you click this box and then you move upward or outer, no, it creates another box. No, it acts the same as offset gihapon, but this time since this is a box, ang gi-offset nimo, what you offset is the whole box. So offset outward or you can offset inward. Okay, so it also can be used for other objects aside from lines. So for this time, we will just offset this line. So again, you already have the center line. O, enter, and then look at the command bar, specify offset distance. So the offset distance is 0.5, enter. So wait for your cursor to change, to be changed into a box, and then now it is ready to copy object. So click this one and move upward. That is the first line, and just continue. Same as the other portion or the other side. Now, this one is complete. So what we'll do is to place its layers. So I can just use again the match prop. So matching property. So the shortcut is MA. Enter. So click the source object, which is this one, because these two squares are the same. Click, and then I want to change to a different layer. So just escape, and then again type the match prop, MA, enter. Let's try this 0.3 line or our solid line. So click, and then this is the center line, and then click the alternate lines. Okay. So next is the hidden line. So MA, enter. Our source object is this one. This is our source. This is the object you wish to copy. Click, and then just brush what object do you wish to be copied or the same as your source object. So I want this one to be the same as my source object. Also this one, and this one. So this is already done. So we are done with figures 1 and 2. Okay, another thing about figure number 2 is this figure number 2 is just the same as figure number 1, but it only differs with the orientation. So now our next command is how do we copy this object? So you can just do it this way. Select the object. Remember the selection that was discussed on the previous exercise. So you can use it here. No? I will select all of the objects and then copy, move. So this is a copy of uh, figure number 1, and I will just rotate this one. So it's a lot faster, no? So how did I do it? So to start, our next command is copy. Okay, so select all of the objects that you wish to copy. So since this is a mirror image, no, the same image as this one, but different orientation, so you need to select all of the lines. So we will use the green lines for to be sure. Okay, so all the lines now are being highlighted, meaning all of them are being selected. Now we will copy this one. So how do we copy objects? So you can type here the whole word copy, or you can just type in the shortcut for copy, that is CO. Okay, that is the shortcut for copy. So copy, enter. So again, the first question is specify base point. No, let's just use this one, specify base point. Base point will act as to where you are going to hold your object as you move it along. So for example, my base point is here, this corner. So as I click this one, no, the copy of this figure will be based on my base point. So meaning I am holding the copy of this one based on the end of my base point. So I specify that my base point is on this portion. So as you can see, no, the object, no, is attached. My cursor is attached to my object at the base point. Okay. So let's try a different base point. So select the object, copy, CO, enter. Let's try to use the midpoint. Now this is now my base point. So click. So as you can see, no, my cursor is attached to the base point, no, to that particular base point that I selected. So this time I selected the midpoint of the upper side. So it is where the object is attached to my cursor. It acts like a handle. No, asa nimo dapit ibutang ang handle as you move along the copy of that certain object. Okay? So, let's try. Again, select the object, copy, CO, and then enter. So, my base point is here, upper left portion, click, and then move as to which direction you wish to copy this figure. So, for this one, I'll just move it along, no, para inline sila. So, I will use the guideline, this horizontal guideline, and then I can just click anywhere here. So this is my copy of this figure. That is copy and copying an object. But another thing with copy is that you can also dictate the distance. No, how far is the copy from the original figure? So let's try. So select the object, copy CO, enter. So my base point is here, kani, opposite side na sa ta, lower left. So this is where my base point is. So click and then place it as to which direction you are going to move your copy. No, so let's place it along here para parallel siya. This time you can place a distance. No, how far is the copy from the original source? So let's try 20 or 10. let's say 20. 20, enter. So as you can see, from this point to this point, it is measured 20 meters. Okay, from base point to base point. So remember, our base point is this corner, di ba? So we move it towards this direction by 20 meters. So it really works. So again, select the object, copy, CO, enter, and then let's try to use this base point. Okay, from this base point towards this direction, I want to move it 20. So before clicking, do not click first, but instead, just guide your copy as to which direction. So again, select the object, CO, copy, enter, click the base point, and just direct it first. No, do not click it yet. So it will be on this direction. And then type in the distance. So I will type here 20, 20, enter. So escape. So you now have a copy of figure number 1. So let's check the distance. Our base point was here. From here to here, the next base point is 20. So that is correct. Okay, now, the figure number 2 has a different orientation horizontally. So what we need to do now is just rotate this figure. So how do we rotate this one? So rotate is works this way, no? So select the object and then rotate. Click a base point, no? From that base point, no? It is where it acts like a pivot point, no? When you rotate the object. So sa compass pa, that is where the needle is, the sharp part or the pin, no? Siya mo rotate. So for same as copy, it also acts as a handle. Okay? So how do we use rotate? Select the object first. So the object is selected and then type in rotate. So you can type the whole word rotate or you can just type the shortcut, which is RO. Enter. So now, it will ask again for the base point. Again, the base point for a rotate command is to where you are going to place your pivot point or your handle. So, where do you think as to where we will place our base point so that when we rotate this object, no, it will not move outside of this line, no, para in line gapon sila with figure number 1. So if you try it here, no, click this one, this is our base point, click and then rotate, no, it goes outside, no. This is now the correct orientation, but outside siya sa linya. So the correct base point when you rotate this object will be at the center. So select the object, RO, type in the command, select object, RO, rotate, enter. The base point will be the center of this figure. So let's try to select as a center. So this is the center line. So since this is the center line, we will locate the center of this line. So mo na siya ang pinaka-center. So as you can see, you have here geometric center. So click. Now as you rotate your object, no, it stays as is. So nituyok na siya. Okay, so we will move this. This is the original. This is the original figure, right? So we will rotate this one going up. No, so make sure that you are perpendicular or aligned gapon. So for this one, 90 degrees, no? Our cursor is positioned at the 90-degree line. So click there. No, it is the same as figure number 2, but We just created figure number 2 by using the copy of figure number 1. Okay, so let's try to erase this one. And then, how do we move this figure next to this one? So the next command now is move. How do we move objects? No? So the first thing to do is to select first. No? Select first the object that you wish to move. So for this figure, no, we will move everything. So select all and then move. So you can type in the whole command, which is move, or the shortcut for move is M. Enter. Now, it will ask for a base point. So, again, the base point will serve as a handle. No, asan mo siya kuptan when you move the object. So, let's try it here. This one. So, this is my base point. Click, and then it will ask for the second point or displacement, meaning where do you intend to place your object. So, let's just move this one horizontally. Okay, you can move it anywhere here. Okay, but you can also place a distance, a specific distance when you move an object. So going back, again, select the object and then type in move or M, that is for the move, enter. So specify the base point. Click your base point. My base point is here. Click and then move. No, I will move towards this direction, but instead of clicking the next point, what I will do is I will just type the distance. So let's say 10 meters towards the left side. Enter. So this is 10 meters coming from the original position. Okay, again, select the object, move, enter, and then locate a base point from this point towards this side and then type the distance. The distance is 10. Enter. Okay, so we are already done with figure number 1 and figure number 2.